Hey there, welcome to another episode of Life Design Plus, where we are mastering the art of living your authentic life. As you can see, I'm in the Pursuit Podcast studios, and the paintings are on the wall. I'm really excited. The final painting that will be on that wall over there will be coming soon. And as you can see, I'm still trying to figure out the lighting a little bit to get it perfect. Getting really close, but really excited for this to be ready to start having people come into the studio and record in person. But this is the third week of the month, which means this is a solo episode. So it's just me here today. And the subject I want to talk about, as you can tell by the title, is staying on this theme of authenticity, which comes in and out of the conversations I have. But I've seen authenticity on my timeline a lot lately, at least on social media. And I think about it and I talk about it a lot. And what I thought about this week, there was a tweet that I put out, and I've also put on LinkedIn. Try to put on both places because audiences live in two areas. But I put out, I think frustration is a strong word, but I'm going to use it. So a frustration with what I see on social media sometimes is I see some amazing voices with really small audiences. And I know some of these people, so I know they don't really care about the audience size or how many tweets are being, or how many people are seeing their tweets. I know they don't care about the metrics, but they have a lot of really great things to say and not enough people are hearing it. And I understand that when people are getting started, it takes time, but the frustration is the voices that are the loudest, I feel like say the same thing over and over. They're saying the same things as other people. And basically those that have the greatest reach are all kind of saying the same thing as each other, maybe in their own little unique way, which is not a bad thing, but they're not a lot of new ideas. Because in order to get to that status, you kind of figure out how to work the game, and you know what your audience wants, you know what you need to stay on, and you just live there. And sometimes when you get to that size of an audience, trying to have a new idea, trying to put something new out there is a little bit scary because you might lose that audience. You might, turn away some of the people who followed you because you're going down a different direction. And what ends up happening, I think, is maybe some of that authenticity is lost. And so what I want to talk about today is maintaining your authenticity. Once you figure out who you really are and you find out the way you want to present yourself to the world so people know who you truly are, how do you maintain it? And I think there's lots of different sources that are pulling us to move away from our authentic self, whether that is just the conforms of what society says is supposed to be, the way we're supposed to present ourselves. I have a friend who's a financial advisor, and we've been talking about how he feels like he has to present himself a certain way, wearing a suit, driving a certain car, and that doesn't really align with what makes him feel the best, but he feels like he has to do that because that's what people think about when they think about a financial advisor. And one of the things I'm hoping that he'll realize over time is some of that is true. Some people expect their financial advisor to look that way because that's what they've seen. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's really what most people care about their financial advisor looking like. And it's head trash. It's a narrative that he's told himself that he has to get over. So when it comes to him maintaining his authenticity, he knows who he is and how he wants to present himself, but he doesn't feel like he can. And so this is something that I want to try to help people figure out. Who am I truly? What does my authentic self look like? How do I even talk? How do I present myself? And then how do I have the confidence to put that out there and not worry about what others might think? And I truly believe that when you put your authentic self out there, yes, you may deflect some people, and that's okay, but you're going to attract probably more people than you deflect, unless your authentic self is just a jerk. But I don't believe any of us were created to be a jerk. I don't think an authentic version of anybody is to be a jerk. I think if somebody moves in that direction, it is them not being true to their authentic self. And maybe that's part of the reason they are that way, is they're unhappy, so they bring that unhappiness to everybody else. But once you find that authenticity and once you put it out there, how do you maintain it? Especially if you start to see results. Meaning, let's just say that you are somebody who's going to leverage social media to grow your audience, because a lot of us are doing that. A lot of us who are pursuing our authentic self, we have a message we want to share, and we have something that we want to build to help people find whatever that message might be for themselves, which means you have to have an audience. So I think not everybody's going to be a content creator. Not everybody's going to be a creative, But I think it's an example that you can easily kind of follow because we see it, and then also maybe pull it away and move it to something that's more aligned with what your authentic life is pulling you towards. But so let's just say you take the social media, you have your message, you're sharing it, you're being your authentic self, you're showing up as who you are, and you begin to get some traction. And people are coming to you because they like what you have to say, you're engaging with them, you're building these relationships, and audience continues to grow. And then now as the audience starts to grow, you see the possibility of, okay, now this can be a business. I can turn this into my career if I want it to be that. It can be a side hustle if that's what it's supposed to be. But now there's an opportunity to monetize this message that I believe and genuinely help people with the efforts that you're making. And once you see the business side of it, now it's kind of like, well, I need more people to hear my message so that I can make this a bigger part and have a greater impact. So how do you do that? And what I see happen a lot of times, and I've tried this, thankfully I haven't had success, which allows me to pull back. And I'll kind of give my example here in a moment, as I tend to do, is that you start to play the games of social media. You start posting the way the algorithms want you to post. You start changing your tagline, your headings, or you start changing your titles to be a little bit more clickbaity because you know that's what's going to get people to click. And not everybody does this, but sometimes when you start to move in that direction, the message becomes less important and it becomes more important about how do I get the views? How do I get the downloads? How do I get the clicks? And as you move in that direction to where that becomes the focus, then I believe you're moving further away from your authentic self, because what you started out to do was to bring a message and bring it in your own voice. And now you're tweaking it so that it gets a bigger reach, so you get more clicks, more downloads, whatever it might be. And I understand that's the way things grow, but I don't like that. It doesn't sit right with me. And if it works for you, that's perfectly fine. We all have different goals and objectives, but I don't want to sacrifice communicating and sharing the way that I want to share solely to get more clicks and downloads. And I've tried, like I've said, I've tried it. I did the TikTok thing for a little while, and I just don't enjoy the platform. I don't enjoy the way it works. So I'm not going to do it. I know that there are big audiences on TikTok. It would probably help grow my reach, but I don't enjoy it. It doesn't feel authentic to me, so I'm not going to do it, at least not for now. Maybe one day if I have a team managing my social media and they can go do the posting for me, take the clips I'm putting elsewhere, but to take the time to go do it and be on a platform that I don't enjoy just doesn't sit right with me, so I don't do it. Another example of YouTube thumbnails. I'm not a big fan of the cheesy point, make a funny face, and kind of like what you see a lot of times on the thumbnails. And the reason people are doing that is because it works. There's studies that show that these type of thumbnails work. But I feel cheesy. I can't take a picture of myself making that face and then put it on a thumbnail. So I've chosen not to do that. And I had to overcome the fact that by not doing the things that are working and staying authentic to what feels right to me, my reach may not grow as fast as I would want it to be. And this kind of goes back to the post I've referenced before from my friend Matt Ziegler about, do you want to be pop or do you want to be underground? And to me, maintaining my authenticity and presenting the way I want to present and doing things the way I want to do it means I'm going to be underground. I'm not going to try to play the algo games to grow my audience, because that's not what's most important to me. What's most important to me is to deliver the message in a way that feels comfortable for me, be able to explore and go all over, try out new ideas, talk about things that maybe if I had a bigger audience, I would be afraid to talk about because maybe I would lose people. I want to have that freedom to be on my pursuit of my authentic life and evolve as I evolve and share that as I go, because in that sharing, it might help somebody else figure out something for them. It may not be the same path as me, but seeing how I connect some dots may help you connect some dots in your way that moves you forward. And I just don't want to feel like I can't be me because I have to do things the way that YouTube wants me to do it or Twitter wants me to do it or whatever it might be. So I have just been okay with, I don't care about what the metrics are. What I care about is percentage of impact is what I'm calling it. And what I think about that is how many people that I am reaching am I impacting? And if I have a smaller number of people that are being reached, but the percentage of people being impacted is high, that's what I care about. I don't want to water down. So this is the old quality over quantity. I don't want to water down my percentage of impact by having a bigger audience, having more views, because I've done things the right way to get people to click and watch, but they're not watching all the way through, or they're not really paying attention. They don't really care what I have to say, and they're not actually being impacted by what it is I have to say. So percentage of impact is more of my North Star. And then as I strive to have a high percentage of impact, being able to do it the way that I want to do it. So I'm not going to write clickbaity titles. I'm not going to have those silly thumbnails because that's just not me. And in doing it, it wouldn't feel right to me. So I'm okay with the impact that's going to have if that means I stay with a smaller audience because I don't get picked up by the algorithms. Now, I have a belief that eventually it just naturally and organically picks up and it will grow to be what it's supposed to be. And I'm okay with it. This is where, going back to Michael Singer and the surrender experiment, I surrender to the flow of life. Wherever my message is supposed to grow and my audience is supposed to grow to, I will let it grow. I'm going to create what I feel is beneficial. I'm going to create first for myself and then hope that it resonates with other people, like in the daily notes. And even in this video, like this video is kind of me convincing myself to continue to believe in, don't worry about playing the games and just do what feels right and feels authentic to you so that you don't lose that authenticity. Because when you lose that authenticity, I think that's where you start to lose some of your happiness. And the flow of life that I'm moving in right now, the synchronicities, the alignment that I have, no additional views on YouTube or downloads on my podcast are worth sacrificing and losing that. So my plan to maintain authenticity is to always do what feels right to me. And that leads me to how do you know if you're falling out of being authentic? It's many things I've talked about before, and probably frustrating for you if you're looking for a direct answer. Is one of the ways it's going to be a feeling. You're going to feel that you're doing things and you're reaching. I could do an audit of my YouTube channel and say, hey, like, look at the last few thumbnails. Those don't feel authentic to me. I'm reaching. I'm trying to play the game, and that's not me. Another way is maintaining that alignment. So going back to spirit, mind, and body. If you put that alignment first, then that will help guide you. And you'll know when you're reaching. You'll know when you're doing things just because that's what you're being told you're supposed to do versus doing what feels natural and authentic to you. And, when I think about that, for me, I'm stubborn, which has, not always worked out when it comes to growth of audience. But I want to do things my way. And I want to be able to look back one day and say, hey, look, whatever this platform has grown to, and I've hit my 1,000 lives changed one-on-one through life planning and millions through everything else, and I did it my way. I didn't do the algo tricks. I didn't do the thumbnail tricks. I didn't do the clickbait. I just did what was authentic to me. And maybe it took a little bit longer, but it caught. And the right people found it, and they enjoyed it, and they shared, and you have more organic growth rather than hacking growth. And again, depending on what your goals are, the hacking growth, there's nothing wrong with that. Like if I had to make more money from these ventures that I'm going on, then maybe I would do some of that because I need to make more money. But I'm fortunate to be in a position where I have great clients that still work with me, that I want to work with. I have a business, and all of this is stuff I do as an enjoyment. For the long term, I have time and the opportunity to allow it to grow, and I have the time and the opportunity and the freedom to grow it slowly and authentically versus having to rush into it. So my mission and my goal is to grow this platform, reach more people, help them find their authentic life, help them pursue the passions, all of the things that I think are very, very important, but do it in my own way. Do it in the underground way. Be Talib Kweli. You can't see it, I don't think, in this shot, but on the bookshelf you'll see in future shots is Talib Kweli's book. I'd be honest with you, I haven't read it yet, but it's there, and I will read it. It's there as a reminder, a constant reminder to me and a reminder to you to just think about what is the purpose, what is the goal. Do you want to be pop? Do you want to be underground? And if going pop is the direction, can you do that authentic to yourself, or does that make you compromise? And is that important to you? And at the end of the day, you make that decision. So I believe maintaining your authenticity is important. I do believe that authenticity over the long run is going to help you reach your goals because it's going to allow you to continue to move on your authentic path towards your authentic life as your authentic self. So yes, authenticity is a buzzword, but it's an important word. And the reason it's a buzzword is because there's truths behind it. So the point of this episode, as I bring it to an end, is just to encourage you to think about when you find that authentic version of yourself and you find the confidence to put it out there in the world, how are you going to make sure that you maintain it and don't compromise that authenticity to try to reach your goals faster? And if you do decide to compromise your authenticity, which is perfectly okay, it is your life, your choice, knowing that you're doing it and why you're doing it versus getting pulled in these directions and not realizing it. And before long, you look back and you're right back in that situation of not knowing who you really are because you drifted from your authentic self trying to chase these other goals that have crept in. So maintain your authenticity. How are you going to do it? Do you decide to do it? Those are all up to you. Speaking of authenticity, before I let you go, I just want to plug the Keep Pursuing webinar series one more time. It kicks off next week, May 22nd, with my friend Samantha Russell. I just posted the lineup of all of the other guests. You can see it on LinkedIn. You can see it on Twitter. I'll put it out in the daily notes probably over the weekend. But the full lineup has been announced. The subject matter has been announced. Every webinar's registration will go live at the end of the previous webinar. So June with Lillian Turner will go live after Samantha Russell and I wrap up on the 22nd. The theme for this whole webinar series is to help and encourage financial advisors, but anybody is welcome because the messages will resonate for everybody. But help financial advisors find that authentic self and align it with their authentic practice so they can serve their clients in the way that they were created to serve their clients and do it in the best way possible. And I believe that when you find your authentic self, you find your authentic practice, your consciousness as a human being, as a financial advisor elevates, which will only be passed on to your clients and have better outcomes for them. So everything in this series is about helping you tap into who you really are and bringing that to your business as a financial advisor so you can grow your business the way you want to grow it and work with the clients you want to work with and have the greatest impact possible. I'm really excited about the series. The webinars will not be like any other webinar. I'm creating them to be more like a podcast recording or a fireside chat that you get to be a fly on the wall. And I hope that if you're there, you chime in with questions and share them so we can incorporate those into the conversation. This is not a scripted presentation. This is a live conversation between myself and somebody I consider to be an expert in their field that can help you find your authentic self, build your authentic business, and live a better life. So join us, please. Bring your questions, throw them in the chat, send them to me ahead of time if you want, and that way we can incorporate them in and make sure that these webinars and these conversations are really valuable to you, not just a time waste in the middle of the day. So with that, I'm going to thank you for tuning in. Go back to my old saying, thank you for joining in my pursuit. It's an honor to be a part of yours, and let's keep pursuing.